Okay, leaving the hotel in El Salvador and going to head up towards a little lake on the way home back to Guatemala. And probably get some gas on the way. I'm going back to Guatemala City today, so it's about a 250 kilometer drive. I could probably do it coming and going in one tank, but why risk it? I'm going to take some detours today anyway. So it'd be better to get out. This is the Colonia Escalon in El Salvador, which is really one of the nicer residential areas. Was actually staying in a little hotel here, and it's Saturday morning, so there's not a whole lot of traffic, but it's going to get heated up in a little bit. I wanted to get out of here before the heat got too much too. So as you can see, there's just a lot of houses, a lot of, there's some businesses up in here too. So restaurants, eating places, pretty interesting nightlife really. It's just a lot of, nice little beer places, places to eat. Up here to the left is the Hotel Sheraton Presidente, one of the nicer hotels here. Yeah, this is the Zona Viva. This is where people come to hang out at night, although last night I went down to Zone 1, which they're renovating, and that's really pretty too. I'm glad they're doing that. Down here on the right is the little hotel where I have stayed here when I've come to El Salvador. A little hotel called Terra Bella. But they put a bar here next to it, La Tasca. And they go late into the morning, into the early hours of the morning, so I haven't gone back. The hotel is nice, but it's just, there's too much noise there at night. You're trying to get a good night's sleep. So we're now on a Boulevard Los Próceres. It's one of the main routes in and out of Salvador going north, again towards the Pan American Highway. Might have gotten turned around here on the wrong way, so let me see here. Yep, we did. Well, I'm not quite sure. My GPS is going crazy. It's telling me I need to turn around, but I think we're okay. There's the Mormon church. A lot of those in Central America. You can see I think that's Gabriel up on the top there. Just in about all the major cities in Central America, you see one of the Mormon churches. And they send a lot of people, young men, down to Guatemala, Salvador, Honduras, Costa Rica. I don't know where else they go in the world, but they're prolific. And this is the Boulevard Romero. It's fairly new. That kind of skirts the Ciudad Merlot here on the left, and then goes out towards Santa Tecla, which is another little satellite city. Here's a nice park on the right. Always wanted to come over here and see this park, go jogging or something like that. But on the mountain over there, you can see is El Bocaron Mountain. It's an old volcano, no longer active, but it's got a big crater. That's why it's called El Bocaron. Boca is mouth. So we're going to go through, not through Santa Tecla, it's a little, like I said, it's a little town. We're going to go towards Santa Ana, which is toward the Guatemalan border. Last night, just some thoughts on, last night I went down with some, the man that I work with here and his wife, and went down to the historic center of San Salvador, where they have the National Theater and the legislative, the old legislative building, National Palace, the cathedral. And that was really a nice experience, and it was something that I didn't expect. Years ago in El Salvador, San Salvador, there was just, that it was all run down. And it was in decaying state, but they've really done a nice job. They've really done a nice job of restoring it and, like I said, making it a place of pride for people here to go and see. It's history. It's not all good history in these places, but I think I got off on the wrong exit. Okay, but we can get back on quick. As I said, my GPS is pretty much all right. No big loss. Yeah, that's where we need to go. I didn't see a sign for that. All right, we'll take this one up here to the right. Sonsonate, toward the coast, the Pacific coast. This is the road that I said was probably going to have maybe some delays. So I said it's got a kind of a uphill. When you come into the city here, you can see these cars coming up. Some of the old trucks and buses and things like that break down. So you lose a lane, and then, people are jockeying for position to get over. They constantly seem to be doing road repair work on this too, so So San Salvador City is, about 400,000 maybe. It's about probably less than a fourth of the size of Guatemala City. It's really, not very big. And El Salvador has a new president. Bukele, I think is his name, and he was the mayor of the city and apparently did a good job. People elected him president. So there's expectation that things are going to happen that are good. And they haven't had a good president in a long time. I mean, somebody that's really kind of done something for the people to help the country, because a lot of them have a lot of corruption. And a lot of people, the other presidents, there's one president that's actually in jail now, and another one had to flee the country from prosecution. So it's good that they're going after these people that have, accumulated huge fortunes through being a public servant, basically, as president. They have the power to just transfer funds to accounts, and they transfer it to their own bank account. It's just kind of, it's not only happens here, but it seems to be more prevalent in these countries. And the fact is that the economies are smaller, so, the country feels it. It's a big, loss. They could use that money for schools, hospitals, and they need it. Believe me, I work with some of the hospitals. I've seen them, and they don't have any funds. Their maintenance, consumable items for surgeries. The patients have to go out and buy the products from the pharmaceutical companies, then bring it back, and then let the doctor operate on them using what they purchased, because they don't have them at the hospital. Some of even the public hospitals, which are supposed to be, providing health, they can't do it. They don't have the items, to operate on, even things like sutures and swabs and medicines and things like that. And the doctor can't do his job. So the people have to go out, buy the items out on the street or wherever they can get them, bring them back to the hospital, the doctor operates. So, that seems to kind of be a modus operandi here. Okay, we're getting into something here. Probably, yeah, you can see there's a sign that, and when you start seeing people on the side of these little streets selling water, peanuts, candy, whatever, yeah, and you're in for a little wait. Hopefully we can get around most of this, but cars are not stopped, they can't really sell, but they're anticipating that the cars are going to be stopped at some point. That's why they're all out here. So this is going on daily. They're doing some work here. I can see it up ahead. The guys are out here with their water and their goods to sell, and all right. Yeah, they have to shore up these mountainsides here because they have mudslides, things falling down on the cars. This is the rainy season, so they can get a big rain. The worst natural disasters here, outside of the occasional earthquake, and El Salvador has had some big earthquakes. We heard of a couple last night when we were doing the little tour of the legislative palace area in the plaza. Outside of the earthquakes, I would say, mudslides And things like that have affected this country a lot too. And sometimes the earthquake causes the mudslide. You know, if you get an earthquake while it's raining too, the earth is loosened up anyway. So, you know, and sometimes, you know, we don't get really hurricanes on this side of the Central American Isthmus, but a lot of times the rain comes over. You know, you don't get all the wind and things like that. This, you know, at this area, this height, you know, you don't get much surge from the sea, but you get a lot of the rain, and that's what affects this area. These people build houses, shanty houses on the side of mountains, and that's bad because you know, the mud comes sliding down and people just get buried. You know, they never find them. It happened in Guatemala last year or 2 years ago. Because they were letting people build in an area close by the city that was just not adequate. And they got a lot of rain, and there was a big mudslide, and hundreds died. You know, they were digging for days and didn't find everybody. Okay. Guess I could have gotten some gas there, but I'll go on a little bit. Okay, well, we got through that. So, again, the second city, probably the second largest city in Salvador is Santa Ana. And we're going to head towards that, but again, the road doesn't go right through it. It skirts it. I've been in Santa Ana. It's, you know, a nice little town. Probably about 50,000 people. No botar basura. Don't throw your trash. That's kind of common, though. People just tend to chuck it out the windows here. You see a lot of trash on the side of the roads. That culture we've gotten away from that in the U.S. People are a lot more conscious now of littering. And they've done campaigns here to get people to stop. But it takes a while. It takes a generation or two. Consciousness over the ambiance and you know, you're throwing it out, and it's basically, look right there, you can see all the trash on the side of the road. It's too bad, you know, because a lot of the natural areas are contaminated by all that. You walk up to some of these beautiful volcanoes, get huge, you know, great views, and you see trash on the way up there. You don't see that in the United States. You don't see trash on the side even of any of the public areas. So, you know, that's an unfortunate thing. You still get to see a lot of things here, nature-wise, very beautiful. But you know, maybe in a few years they'll get that under control a little bit. See all the trash on the side. Okay, I'm going to end this here. Catch it up later when we get close to Lago Coatepeques. Have a great day, and thank you for being with me.